Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Vikas Jain LIVE Show. In this episode, we have Debeshi Chakraborty, who is going to talk about Design Your Inner Hero. Welcome, Debeshi, to the Vikas Jain LIVE Show.
Thank you so much for having here, and Happy New Year to everybody who is listening to this. So you can design your inner hero in 2024, taking some inspiration from this podcast.
That's interesting. And as we were just talking about, it's a special one. Like every January first week is a special one for you. So would you like to make our viewer know about what is unique about first week of January?
Absolutely. It starts with my birthday. So 6th
Wow.
January is my birthday, and I share it with some leaders as well, like Joan of Arc, the famous lady who was is a French lady who brought in the freedom for women, and there's a lot to it. A.R. Rahman, the musical maestro, Kapil Dev, yeah. So that's how it
Oh,
starts. And this year was also pretty special. As I was sharing, I
yeah.
did something unique to bring part of me which was dormant for some time.
So let us know about that unique thing. Definitely, we would love to hear.
Yes. So people who know me would know that, Devishi is somebody who sings a lot. And, music has been an integral part of my life. And me and my dad used to sing along. He was very good. So in 2022, he passed away. And after that, I found it very difficult to sing alone. I'll end up crying. And this birthday, I met through a professional network of women, Leap Club. A small club within the Leap Club called Harmony. 12 young girls. We are all young at heart. And we had a jam in Gurgaon. People came from Noida, from different parts of the city, and we sang. And there, some
Beautiful.
of them were not actually like singers, but we co-created that beautiful space, and I became that girl one more time who's to love music, and I connected with my dad. So that was very, very unique, and I would say this is one of the best birthdays I ever had. This will go in my autobiography for sure.
That's a very insightful and inspirational thing that we always look for, that in this year we will do something new. But I think
Hmm.
within first week itself, you cracked, I think, one good thing about that resolution, that you did
Yeah.
already did something new.
Can I just add something to it?
Sure, sure, for sure.
Yeah. So it also comes from a leadership distinction. Okay. So there's a leadership distinction which says take an unreasonable action. So whenever you want to transform an area, you have to expand your life, right?
Yeah,
And it's science. Like if you expand, you never go back to the same point. Like x becomes 10x, it doesn't come back to x. It's x plus something, right? So
yeah.
it is change of state. So same for transformation. If you have to transform, you expand, and when you're doing something unreasonable like this, and it's fun as well, the expansion becomes easy. So this was also application of, like, because I met people and they had no clue it was my birthday. Unreasonable request. So in terms of leadership, if somebody wants to uh, you know transform an area, expand, you can go unreasonable and see what happens to you. It's not going to be the same.
That's very interesting. That definitely, when we transform, we move ahead. Definitely, we will not come back to where we started. We'll have some
Hmm.
level of incremental progress that we are going to see, and I think that's what make your journey unique. Like, you are a leadership coach, ICF, PCC, Gallup certified, secretary at ICF Delhi board, and with so many things. You are ex Fortune 500 gold medalist, UCL London Commonwealth scholar. So tell us more about your life journey. These are the key attributes which are available that we can see on your
Yeah.
professional profile, LinkedIn. But definitely, there must be some part of your life, which your journey, which we might not be aware of. So let
Yeah.
us
So
more
what?
about your life journey.
Sure. So I went back to my college. I studied in Jadavpur University, Kolkata. I went back to architectural department and met my, mentor, my HOD, and with my best friend there after 20 years. And they all were congratulating me because it's a very unique journey. I have not found like anybody who has gone through this journey. And if I go after 20 years, I know I might be a different person. So, my entire journey, the story behind it again, starts with many inspirational, events. And one core event, which is not been shared, you won't find in LinkedIn, is was to do when I was doing my final year dissertation in architecture. So we have to do something called a thesis, a project, and mine was on waterfront, the Ganga, the riverfront of Kolkata. So if somebody's been to Kolkata, you'll know there are ghats, and in every
Yep.
ghat there is a different feature. So one of the ghats where there was a person. It was famous for the flower market. So early morning, I went there with my camera and all, and I could see boats coming laden with marigold flowers, garlands. They will be going to the flower market. And there was this old gentleman who was unloading it and keeping it in the banks. And then I saw a dog coming and peeing on those flowers. And I was very much taken aback. What's happening? I went back to the person and said, Dada, have you seen this is happening? Because this might go to, places of worship. And he asked, what is, why you asking? What is that you're doing? After a little bit, he said, Didi, we don't have God or government. Can you really do something for us? That really shook me because I was just a student, and frankly speaking, I was doing it for my marks, for getting a good score, getting a unique story. But can I do something for them? That became the North Star or the guiding statement of my life. Now, this story was written in my SOP. I got the Commonwealth scholarship, went abroad. So I started working in a scale where I can serve large scale in a mass. So I did it through city planning, but while I was doing that, I got introduced to the world of transformational coaching through an organization called Landmark Worldwide. I took the curriculum myself, completed it very fast, and then I did the leadership curriculum, completed it. Then I became the coach, became a successful one. So one after another, I was completing the milestones, and then they said, "Okay, what is the biggest thing that you can do that you have not thought of?" The I thought like I wanted to be in there in the east. It was not there in the eastern part of Kolkata. So 35 coaches across India, they came paying money from their own pocket. And a big event, like with the Mumbai chapter, we had a big event of almost 500 people in Kolkata in 25 years of the history of Landmark. And that day, I realized that, to transform city, to make a city, it takes 30 years. To transform life, it happens within seconds. So I changed my table. So from designing smart cities, I'm designing smart professionals right now. And I'm working progress. So I'll be very open, Vikas, in next 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, I might be doing something else. But what stays common in that story? I want to do something for the people who think that they don't have God or government. Serve people and in a large scale. That's my
Mm,
story so
that's
far.
that's that, but that itself is a very prominent story, I would say. That remembering that statement, and as a coach speaker, I can resonate with that thought that you get to listen to somebody who is in audience or somewhere, and that single line, like you keep that line with you
Yeah.
throughout your life. So I can totally relate to that part. So,
Mm.
as you mentioned that you have worked with Landmark Forum, and Landmark Forum is known for transforming life of many, and there are many professionals who come out like with bright colors from that institution. So, as per your observation as a coach, what differentiate top 1% from others? Like,
So
what are the key attributes?
yeah, so it's I've done landmark. I have, ICF. I know. So it's different languages of transformation that I've, trained myself over the years. So I'll keep that aside, and because it's almost been 10 years, 2016, 14, I started their journey. It's almost 10 years. Like I've tasted
Yeah,
transformation. So keeping that language part apart, like I have a very holistic view about what creates the that 1%. And for me, I would take the liberty of defining leadership because it's 2023. Okay. Defining leadership, modern leadership, in terms of not just something which happens within the glass wall of corporates. It's also there in art. It is also there in sports. It is also there in different in management, in different fields.
true.
So the way I see it, and I come from a master planning background, right? I connect past to future. So I'll
Mm.
just share a little bit of the contextual definition and how I see that 1%. So for the benefit of the audience, I there'll be people who won't be interested in history, but since you are in 2023, I'll just give you who you are, in terms of the evolution of the workforce. So we used to be factory workers, right? Early, modernization, and the leaders would think in terms of the profitability and the performance in that context, right? Yeah. And then we had the telecommunication revolution, right, in early
True,
80s or 90s. Then we had the digital era, right? So and now we are coming to an era of a creative economy, right? So from being factory workers, we are now cognitive workers. And with
true,
that, the leadership, that 1%, the leaders who have emerged, have the definition, the conduct and communication has also changed. Now, the way I see it is in terms of the three C's. The first one is clarity. So, if I take an example, let's say Napoleon, there's a new movie which has come there, but it's not there in Delhi. I haven't seen it yet. People in Mumbai must have seen. I'm a big fan of Napoleon for some reason. So, if you see, he had a very clear vision that he wanted to unify Europe, like early 1800. His style was, that time you needed somebody to be autocratic, somebody who takes the decision, who is like being very competitive. So that worked, but he had very, very, very clear vision that I want to unify Europe. Now, in late 1800, if I take in another example of a spiritual leader, Swami Vivekananda, he was very clear
sure,
that he wants to put India into the world pedestal with the message that, of equality, of a spiritual liberation. He inculcated, if you just have to put his entire work in one word, it was Neo Vedanta. Neo Vedanta. He said, like, worship is service to man, right? So, and he was very clear. And with that vision, everything, his institution, his speeches, his travel, everything got into this place. Third, if I
yeah,
come, like, that's 1700. Like, if I come to 1980s, if in the world of management, so leadership within the corporate area, General Electrics, so we see Jack Wells coming in, and that time profitability was the ask for the organizations. And he had his own way. He's known, celebrated for the kind of growth the GE had during that time, right? But his style was like, what is rank and young, right? He used to make people compete with each other, and somebody who would be at the bottom of the curve, they would be asked to go, even if they are good. So it was cutthroat competition, which led to a high level of growth. So, and he was clear, I need a profitable organization. Now, if you come to the 2000, that also changed. Now, if you take an example of Indra Nui, she came up with this entire concept of having purpose with performance. And if you read her book, it's My Life in Full Circle, you'll see she got that her clarity when she was kind of working as a junior person, or maybe responsible for a business wing in Johnson and Johnson, and she was promoting the sanitary napkin. And
Hmm.
that time in India, it was a taboo. The government said no advertisement, right? So then she went to Yale and moved to US because she needed something. And when she became a CEO, and very interesting, she was also offered the CEO of GE and PepsiCo. Both of them were offered to her around 1990s, and she chose PepsiCo. So that entire thought process that, I'm going to have purpose with profitability, she was very clear. And all, the history is there in the book. The difference between Jack and Indra, I would say, there's no legacy. After he went away, the organization kind of crumbled because there was no sustainability, the human part. So if you see from factory workers to the cognitive workers, what has changed is that the humanity is celebrated by the leaders, but it has evolved with the context, with what the situation required. If I see that
The need of
it
the
is
hour,
it,
we can say that.
yes, so it
Need of
didn't
the hour. Yeah.
happen. Yeah, it didn't happen all of a sudden. So leaders were appropriate. They answered what was the ask from the market from that time, but they were clear of that ask. So I would say that's clarity part of it. It's a long. I
Yeah.
hope it's making sense. I can't
It's
see
totally making
people
sense.
who are
Yes.
there.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's clarity. And the last example which we all have faced was during the COVID. So Professor, everybody must have seen that, I think Netflix or Prime movie, the viral, what is it, the vaccine war, right? So Professor Balram, he was given that clear vision: low cost, affordable vaccine for India and for the world. And with that, we got our vaccine, right? So that one person comes with clarity. So that's what historically, which has been there. So the second thing, if I say after that, is going to be the curiosity. Like now, I come from a very creative background, and I've been a very creative, curious child as well. So my afternoons would be kind of spent in experimenting with things. I've met Mother Teresa. I have called Satyajit Ray. So I was very curious person. Now, what that led me, I experiences that led me doing something new. I'm the first in many way in from my family, from my context. And if I really look into the leadership, they are I'm pretty grateful that most of my clients or people or mentor, they are giants in their own field. Like I have never been a CXO, okay, in my life, in my corporate journey, but people whom I work with are, or even beyond that, they are so curious at any age or any position they are in. And curiosity makes you learn, curiosity makes you innovate, right? So one of the biggest example again is Einstein, right? The one person
Hmm.
who is
Yes.
given us it's not the television, but again, we need not share what he's done, but GPS to TV to everything. And what he says, one of the lines is, which is very close to my heart, is that I don't have any special talents. I'm a passionately curious person, something in that line, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
curiosity leads, and any situation. We talk about resilience, we talk about anything. A childlike curiosity is the mark of that 1% leader. Again, I'll go back to pandemic. Our HR leaders, I've seen them very, very closely. A lot of my clients are HR leaders. They have come up with innovative ideas to take care of their people. There was no playbook for crisis, none. And they came up with solutions which was never tested, and they served people. So that was curiosity of, how can I, serve people. They learned, and they did it. So, and with chat gpt and ai and everything coming up, we are all trying in our own way how it can be incorporated in our field, not just within the corporate, because gig economy is going to become big, right? So
Yeah,
the second thing, and there are going to be a lot of leaders going to come in that economy as well. Like, the leadership, the defined within the glass walls, is going to, melt down. So curiosity is the third C.
second
I
one,
hope I'm not speaking
curiosity.
very fast. A quick check.
No, no,
Quick-
no, no.
Yeah,
Oh, it's fine. I think first one is
fine.
clarity and second is curiosity, right?
Right. Because I'm used to both way. I keep on checking in with people. If there are any questions, I kind of answer. Feel free to drop in your questions. If within the show we can answer, or later on I can go to the platform. I'm happy to answer it. So that was two
Definitely.
C's. And the third one, which is very close to my heart, is having that, coaching conversational attribute. When I say coaching conversation, I don't mean, a professional or a transformational coach. I don't mean that. uh, I'll give you a disclaimer. I have a very unique definition of what I say here. For me, coaching is, it's a very, what do I say? It's a very old craft. I'll give you an
Mm.
example why I say it. So if there's somebody outside India might not relate to it, but people from India would relate. Like Gita was a conversation, right? The
Yeah,
in the moment of crisis, Arjun seeking, in dilemma, Arjun seeking a mirror. Coaches are nothing but mirrors, right?
yeah,
They help you to see your best version. So Krishna provided that space, and that was a coaching conversation which happened in the, war ground of Kurukshetra, right? So I would define, and transformation has happened. So I would
yeah,
say these kind of conversation, uh, it can be dialogue, it can be debate, is a mark of that one person, because this 1% they create history. Okay. uh, Another attribute of this coaching conversations, I would say, like, where the conversation is very detached. It's not about people who are, but more about the result. One example is, I come from the land of Tagore, right? Yeah. Is where Einstein and Tagore, they met. Uh, and then if you see Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore, they met. And all these people were not aligned to each other's philosophy 100%. There were some departures. For example, Einstein talked about how, like, the science, and Rabindranath Tagore talked about religion, how they have always been in conflict. But after the conversation, at least I know Rabindranath Tagore's part, there were beautiful verses or songs that was written which celebrated man in the cosmos. So those were the outcomes. So these dialogues, even if you see the World Economic Forum, even the conversations also we are having, people
yeah,
engage, that 1%, they engage in such dialogues, and not necessarily they have to be, as I said, it can be debate as well, right? But there has to, the outcome is transformational and kind of detached. Everybody is being a very untarnished mirror for the other person to bring out that best version, the best outcome. Yeah, so I would say those conversation. The third aspect in which you can see this conversation as well is when you're making the other person win, right? Yeah, so like Shah Rukh Khan and Chak De, right? You see, is making the others win. The job of a sports coach, if you see, right,
yeah,
that I am not doing it, but I am providing the space for the others to do it. And this
right.
creates, in any context, this creates legacy, Vikas. These kind of
Yes.
conversation, they create legacy. You go to a corporate organization, say, you know what, I worked in his time, and in those days da 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 used to happen. You must have heard it, right? So these are
Yes, yes, there are so many
yeah.
such stories, and I remember one more thing that one leader
Mm,
said that show me the calendar of a leader, and I can tell
mm,
that where the organization is moving, basis the or
mm.
whether the leader is spending enough time nurturing other leaders or not. So I think again we are pointing similarly towards that. Are we
Yeah,
coaching other leaders?
yeah. And we see, we are not going to be there. The conversation will live. The way I'm talking about people
Yeah,
200 years, ago, this conversation will also live when we are not there, right? It's
true.
there for eternity. So I
Yeah.
would say these are the three traits which I see, in leaders.
Yeah, yeah. So one is clarity. Definitely, we need to know that
Clarity,
where we want to move towards, and second is
yeah,
curiosity. That once we
curiosity.
have built the clarity and the curiosity, and then having the coaching conversation. Basically, it's a way to constantly improve yourself with the
Mm.
help of a mentor or leader.
Yeah, it's crystallizing. Coaching conversation where it gets mapped. It's crystallizing, the other two.
Okay. Yeah. 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 So all three interesting point. Now, I would one another dimension of becoming the top 1%. What we started with is actually the top, like, best in the world. But uh, when I study this area, my thought is also from the perspective that whatsoever profession I am in right now, how to become one of the best, first at the city level and then at the world level, national level, and then at the world level in that profession. So for example, I started as a software engineer. So my curiosity would be that how who is the best coder in the world, or probably best in one of the best in
Hmm.
India, and what differentiate them. So same way, what do you think if we think from that perspective, that whatever profession I am in, so for example, in the context of medical field, if we say that the one of the celebrated doctor is like Dr. Naresh Trahan, right? Well
Hmm.
known doctor, if we say at the national level. Or for the law, we can say Ramjet Malani. So when we recall these names in any profession, how we can be there. So any, definitely clarity, curiosity, and coaching conversation will
Yeah.
play that role.
Hmm.
What I need to do differently today to reach there?
Yeah. Can I, you know, give a different take
Yeah,
to this answer?
sure,
So
for
my
sure.
question is, nobody needs a second Jet Malani. Nobody needs a second Dr. Trehan. So these are mountains. They reach their pinnacle of their career in their context, in their time. That's a different mountain. The question that, anybody who wants to climb the mountain in their time, in their context, is it's a different mountain. And you, like, that's an apple and it's an orange, and what is your recipe or roadmap for success is going to be different from the other person. But yes, some of the attributes, like, you want to uh, cater to a bigger scale, you want to have a broader impact, so those some of those attributes
Yeah,
would be transferred into your roadmap, right? So so that distinction is very important, because the world doesn't need a second Einstein, second Rabindranath Tagore. Nobody wants to be the second person. So working see, again, I'm a Gallup strength coach. So the way I always say, that work on what is that you already have and what is your strength, and build on that. Make that your craft. Like, for example, if Sachin Tendulkar uh, was not discovered as a cricket talent, he wouldn't make a great chemistry teacher for sure, right? So that discovery is very important. And from day one of your career, declare yourself who you are. Write down as 10 commandments. Okay. For example, like when a five-star hotel is opened, it never opens as a one star, then two star, and then it becomes a five-star. No. From day one, the expectation from a five-star, the experience that you're going to give, what defines you, is set. So if you want to be that 1%, day one you walk into your job, your any kind of employment, any domain you are, define your 10 commandments. And that's what I do in Design My Inner Hero, right? We discover, we decode, and then we design. But any which way you do it, define, the aspects of it. And these are non-negotiable. And with each aspect you can have different benchmark. Like for example, I am a high integrity person. What does integrity mean? With time context, today you're working in Mumbai, tomorrow you're working in Singapore. That today you are 5 years of experience, tomorrow you're 10 years of experience. That is okay to shift. Like you shadow people, you calibrate. But those 10 commandments, right? If you're not there in the room, somebody comes and say, hey, it's Vikas, so you have to go 5 minutes early. He's a
Mhm.
high integrity person, and being late is not acceptable. That's a non-negotiable. That's your brand. So from day one, start as a 5 star. Don't wait. And that's what the clarity and the curiosity and the mindset, the conversation people when they have, they're clear. They broadcast themselves as the 5 star. They're clear on day one. So that would
Yeah,
be my take. And choose your own
yeah.
mountain and your own roadmap.
That's a beautiful example when you mentioned that 5 star is opened day one as a 5 star. It's not that you become a day star, first 1 star or a roadside hotel and then you turn into a 5 star. If you have
Mm.
as you started with clarity, that vision is to become a 5 star, then you start with a 5 star hotel. And you
Yeah.
just mentioned about that, that's your brand. And I think these days the value of personal brand is also being talked about. So what's your take on it? Like, is it importance to have a that idea of personal brand, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, yeah. And it is, see, we are today we are talking about digital personal brand. It has always been there. The names that I've taken, they had
Yeah.
a personal brand, right? Only
Yes.
thing is that it's getting mapped in digital space right now, right? And there is also something internal brand within your, like within the coaches. We have within the industry, there's an internal brand and there is an external brand. How the outside your organization, outside your close community, people know it. I see a lot of people like being very focused on the external brand. But hey, within the organization, the work that you're doing and within your core community, like whether you're working in an organization with your core clients, your day-to-day stakeholders, there's an internal brand where people get to refer to you by word of mouth. Take care of that. It's super important. Like the internal brand is a foundation for your external brand. And today it's digital. Tomorrow it's going to be like wearing Oculus. It might be having a very different avatar. So don't worry where it is getting mapped. Don't be like attached to the those platforms. We will die. A brand will live forever.
Yeah, yeah, we will die and brand will live forever, ever. And that's a very powerful statement. So, Debashi, what's your larger than life mission? Because beginning of the state introduction, you mentioned that probably after 10 years, you might be doing something entirely different, but this
Hmm.
is going to remain. So, we understand what is going to remain, the values, the core things, but
Hmm.
what could be your larger than life mission?
So my larger than life mission is to have humane policy, right? I just design smart cities and I envision of something which I say smart citizenship in India. So how it's going to look like is having a humane policy. And a shorter goal within that, you and me all being coaches, is that I want coaching as a profession to have a legal recognition. In this part of the world, we don't have. It's there in the West. So our prime minister, our presidents, every bureaucrat, every doctor, every school teacher, you know, every public servant, private servant takes coaching, has access to coach, and it is democratized. Uh, it's like a birthright. And it rises
Yeah.
as a very honorable, respectful, and a pure profession. That's my dream.
Okay, that's a powerful statement again. Uh, I see a comment, but it's not aligned with the topic though. But still, I would take it up. So Rakesh is saying, "सर आप इंग्लिश में बात अच्छी करते हो, मुझे भी एक आइडिया दे दोगे क्या? इतनी अच्छी इंग्लिश कैसे बोल सकते हैं?" तो एनी टेक ऑन दैट?
सबसे पहले इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ है राकेश आपको इंग्लिश में बात करने की ज़रूरत क्या है? कॉन्टेक्स्ट क्या है? ठीक है? और इंग्लिश में अच्छा अगर बात करना चाहते हो, तो चैट जीपीटी से आप रिटन इंग्लिश अभी इम्प्रूव कर सकते हो। ये क्वेश्चन अगर मुझे 2-3 साल पहले करते, तो मैं कुछ और आंसर देती। आज के टाइम पे कोई भी ऐप का आप इस्तेमाल कर लो। आपकी सोच जो है ना राकेश, वो आज के टाइम पे सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ है। आप अगर सही सोच रहे हो, कोई भी भाषा में उसको बोलो, ठीक है? हमारे प्रधानमंत्री को देख लीजिए, वो बहुत अच्छे से हिंदी में बात करते हैं। आपको कभी लगता है उनको इंग्लिश की ज़रूरत पड़ी? ठीक है? तो जब ज़रूरत पड़ती है तो वो बोलते हैं एंड देयर आर डिफरेंट वेज़ आल्सो। जापान में जो लोग हैं, जो मंत्री होते हैं, वो अपनी भाषा में स्पेनिश में वो अपनी भाषा में बात करते हैं। तो हिंदी भी बहुत बढ़िया भाषा है, ठीक है? सो अब भाषा के कंटेंट के ऊपर सोचो, आप क्या बोल रहे हो? और एआई के ज़माने में ये सारा ट्रांसलेट हो जाएगा। अगर आपको सीखना है, तो आप बिल्कुल सीख सकते हो। खान अकेडमी है, आप एक एक मैं टिप दे सकती हूँ, जो मैं करती हूँ राकेश आपको। जो आपको कोई बेचते हैं ना, लाइक बैंक से कॉल आता है, आपका कोई गैस से कॉल आता है, इनसे बात कीजिए। वो इंग्लिश में ट्रेन्ड होते हैं, 6-8 महीने का बहुत बढ़िया ट्रेनिंग मिलता है राकेश। उनसे बात करो आप इंग्लिश में, आपका प्रैक्टिस हो जाएगा मुफ्त में। ये टिप अच्छा लगा होगा।
Right, that was an interesting tip. And in addition, Rakesh, you can watch a जोश टॉक वीडियो. आप जोश टॉक पे एक वीडियो देख सकते हैं विकास जैन. तो मेरा एक जोश टॉक है अबाउट कि मैंने खुद अपनी लाइफ में इंग्लिश बोलना कैसे सीखा, फ्लुएंसी कैसे लाया, और क्योंकि मैं हिंदी मीडियम बैकग्राउंड से शुरुआत करी थी
मैं
7th
बंगाली
क्लास तक
मीडियम
मैं.
में हूँ, मुझे बंगाली में ज़्यादा मार्क्स मिले हैं हिंदी से इंग्लिश से।
अरे वाह!
तो
बहुत बढ़िया.
हुँ।
तो सबने वैसे राकेश शुरुआत करी है. और जैसे देवशी ने कहा कि जब आप उसमें मैंने कॉन्टेक्स्ट लिया था, एग्जाम्पल लिया था साइकिल चलाने का, कि साइकिल चलाना उतनी अच्छी हो जाएगी जितनी उसके साइकिल चलाएंगे. वैसे इंग्लिश बोलना, तो मैंने जो काम किया था, और वो भी कॉलेज लेवल पे आके मैंने बहुत सारी इंग्लिश क्लासेस लेने की कोशिश करी, बट उनसे मेरे को उतनी मदद नहीं मिली. बोलने की फ्लुएंसी तब बढ़ी जब मैंने एक्चुअली बोलना बढ़ाया. और वो बढ़ाया कैसे? मैंने 1 महीने तक, एक नहीं 2 महीने तक लगातार न्यूज़पेपर को 1 घंटा रीड आउट किया लाउडली. तो ये 3-4 चीजें बड़ी जरूरी हैं. 2 महीने तक करना, 10 दिन करोगे, 20 दिन करोगे तो नहीं हो पाएगा. दूसरी चीज है लाउडली बोल के पढ़ना. कई बार लोग सोचते हैं मैंने मन मन में पढ़ लिया. लोग कहते हैं इंग्लिश मूवीज देखो. इंग्लिश मूवीज तो देख ली, पर मैं तो नहीं बोल रहा ना. इंग्लिश समझ
हुँ।
आनी लग जाएंगे, पर बोलना शुरू नहीं हो पाएगा. तो बोलना कैसे शुरू हुआ? क्योंकि मैंने अखबार को पढ़ा, लाउडली बोल बोल के पढ़ा. तो जो हमारी टंग होती है, जीभ होती है, उसको आदत पड़ गई कि इंग्लिश में कैसे बोलना है. माइंड कनेक्शन और तेज हो गया. और तीसरी चीज, 1 घंटा, मतलब आपको वो आवर्स प्रैक्टिस करना बड़ा जरूरी है. तो जब आप ये 3 चीजें करेंगे ना, मैं आपको कह सकता हूँ जैसा मेरे साथ हुआ था. मुझे खुद नहीं पता चला था, फर्क पड़ गया है. जब 2 महीने की छुट्टियों के बाद कॉलेज में वापस पहुंचा तो दोस्त बोलने लगे कि विकास तेरी फ्लुएंसी बढ़ गई है, क्या करके आया है.
वेरी
तो
नाइस।
राकेश, अगर आप ये चीजें करेंगे ना, तो होगा. आपने भी लिखा अगले कमेंट में कि आप भी हिंदी मीडियम से पढ़े हो, तो बहुत
हुँ।
बढ़िया चीज है. हिंदी मीडियम से हो, चाहे मीडियम आपका कोई भी हो, आजकल के समय में अपॉर्चुनिटीज बढ़ गई हैं. जो जरूरत है उसको सीखना चाहिए, उसको इस ढंग से लेना चाहिए. उसको इंफीरियोरिटी और सुपीरियोरिटी कॉम्प्लेक्स नहीं बनाना चाहिए. जरूरत है, नीड ऑफ द आवर है. मैं किसी कंट्री में जा रहा हूँ, बाहर जा रहा हूँ, तो वहां पे मेरे को इंग्लिश की जरूरत है, तो सीख लिया. एक लैंग्वेज ही तो सीखना है, उसको एक लैंग्वेज मान के जल्दी से सीख लेंगे तो ज्यादा आसान रहता है. उसको जितना कॉम्प्लेक्स बनाएंगे अपनी लाइफ में, वो उतनी मुश्किल हो जाती है. ये मेरी सोच है.
राकेश को मैं एक ही क्वेश्चन पूछूँगी। राकेश, अभी अब आपको जापान भेज दिया जाए, ठीक है ना? 1 करोड़ का आपका पैकेज होगा मिनिमम। सीखोगे जापानीज़?
फॉर
कितना
श्योर.
टाइम लगेगा आपको? ठीक है, अब आराम से इसका आंसर देना। तो
करेक्ट.
हुँ।
So, going back to the question, Debeshi, the last thing I would love to ask is that you talked about the importance of coaching, that you have a mission that coaching should be recognized as a good profession. That's one. And second, you talked about the smart citizenship. So can you
Hmm.
explain a bit more about what is smart citizenship? The title is very interesting, but
Yeah.
tell
It's
me more
it's a
about that.
longer conversation, but I'll share it
Yeah.
in a bit. So the success, there's something called participatory planning, which exists in the other part of the world where the citizens. So I'll give my example. So when I was
Yeah.
doing my internship in London, so there are boroughs. The way we have municipalities over here, there are boroughs, and when any public program comes up, even we have it in our country as well, so there's a mini court which comes up, and before so the person, the master planner, he presents it in front of the court, and there are members of the community, they come and debate like whether they should come up or not, and it's a very very open forum where the discussion, it might be debated and the plan might get cancelled as well, right? So I have seen that power being very open, transparent, and celebrated out there. It's a normal part of taking decisions. So when we started, even in the country, we have those, but it's not celebrated. People don't know. You'll get to know कि कभी कभी आपको लगता है अच्छा इधर पार्क होने वाला है, इधर हॉस्पिटल आने वाला है, अच्छा ये होएगा। प्रॉपर्टी के रियल्टर्स आपको बताते मैडम आपके तो इधर मेट्रो के एक एक खंबे गिरेगा तो एंड आपका प्रॉपर्टी प्राइस विल गो हाई, राइट? तो ये वाला प्लॉट ऐसे पता चलता है हमें। इट्स नॉट सेलिब्रेटेड, इतना ओपन और ट्रांसपेरेंट अभी तक नहीं है, राइट? एंड आपको जब ये सारी चीजें पता नहीं होता, आप शहर के एक्सपेंशन कैसे आप रहते हो, वो यू आर नॉट कनेक्टेड विथ इट। तो आपका
Right.
लाइक इफ यू पुट एन इंडियन टू सिंगापुर, वो कभी इज नॉट गोना स्मोक ऑन स्ट्रीट। उसको पता है इट्स अ फाइन सिटी, उसके रूल्स एंड पॉलिसीज उसका बिहेवियर डिक्टेट करता है, राइट? इंडिया में इट्स डिफरेंट, राइट? सो दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग कि हम और हमारे जो पॉलिसीज है ना, उससे जो एक सिटीजन का बिहेवियर होगा वो शेप्ड नहीं है, ठीक है? सो एंड देन अभी तो हमने हमारा शुरू हुआ है गार्बेज कलेक्शन, ऑल ऑफ दीज आर हाउ वी आर पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन द पॉलिसी। सो हमारे कंट्री में धीरे धीरे वो आ रहा है। सिटीजन मतलब अगर मैं आंख बंद करूं, आपको दिल्ली का सिटीजन कैसा दिखेगा, इंडिया का सिटीजन, कोई कोई यू कैन नॉट इमेजिन एनीथिंग, बट इफ यू आस्क यू टू क्लोज योर आईज, आपको लगेगा कि यूरोप में एक सिटीजन कैसे दिखता है, how they are going to behave, वो क्लियर क्लैरिटी है ना? सो दैट इज द डिफरेंस, मतलब मैं ले लैंग्वेज में आपको बता रही हूँ। सो दैट इज द डिफरेंस इन टर्म्स ऑफ बिहेवियर, कंडक्ट जो दिखेगा। उसके पीछे और भी बहुत सारे लेयर्स है, पॉलिसीज एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग, एंड उसमें टेक्निकलिटीज में नहीं जाती। तो मेरा ड्रीम ये है कि जो हमारा प्लानिंग पॉलिसी है, और मतलब सिटी में जो रह रहे हैं और उनका जो बिहेवियर है, उसमें एक लाइक there's a harmony in it, and it shows as a citizenship. So
Yeah.
and it is also connected to your how you experience have a lifestyle in the city. ओके, सो लिटिल ऑन दैट, ये इस पे और एक आपका वेबिनार बन सकता है। बट मेरा
नहीं,
इच्छा है कि
डेफिनेटली डेफिनेटली।
एक दिन हमारे देश में लोग जब आए, अच्छा इंडिया में जा रहे हो तो वो मॉस्किटो स्प्रे नहीं लगा के, दे वुड एक्सपेक्ट, दे वुड नो व्हाट टू एक्सपीरियंस, एंड दे विल हैव अ वेरी क्लियर इमेज कि सिटीजनशिप इन इंडिया, स्मार्ट सिटीजनशिप ऑफ इंडिया का एक्सपीरियंस क्या होगा, व्हाट वुड इट मीन इन टर्म्स ऑफ अ बिहेवियर। आएगा, अपना टाइम आएगा।
नहीं, डेफिनेटली आएगा। आई ऑल्सो बिफोर आई विजिटेड सिंगापुर, एक दिमाग में चलता था, एंड वंस आई विजिटेड देयर तो दिमाग में आया कि यहाँ पे
राइट,
ये
यू नो,
चीजें,
राइट?
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ऐसे
हाँ,
क्यों है,
हाँ,
राइट?
हाँ।
एंड उसके बाद पर मेरा एक और एडिशनल एक्सपीरियंस रहा जब मैंने उसको थोड़ा माइक्रो लेवल में देखा, कि जैसे मैं दिल्ली में रहता हूँ, और दिल्ली में आप जैसे ही एक एक पार्ट ऑफ सिटी से दूसरे पार्ट ऑफ सिटी में जाते हो, आपकी ड्राइविंग बिहेवियर बदलता है। तो जैसे ही हम नई दिल्ली में एंटर करते हैं तो ड्राइविंग बिहेवियर अलग हो जाता है, लेन ऐसे बहुत शिफ्टिंग नहीं हो
बिल्कुल।
रही होती,
हम्म।
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी बदलता है और उसी के अकॉर्डेंस पे बिहेवियर हमारा बदल जाता है। जैसे ही आप हॉकिंग वाले एरिया में ट्रैफिक में जाओगे तो आप भी गलत पार्क करने के लिए ओपन हो जाते हो, क्योंकि बाकी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी वैसा है। तो आई थिंक दैट रेजोनेट्स, जैसे लोग हैं
Yes,
जैसा
absolutely.
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर दिखता है वैसे ही। तो एक विद इन सिटी
Absolutely.
आई सी इट कि विद इन 10-15 मिनट्स मेरा खुद का बिहेवियर शायद बदल रहा होता है। तो दिस इज अ वेरी डेफिनेटली अ वेरी डीप डिस्कशन, बट I have experienced it, I have thought over it, so it's a very
Very
powerful subject. I'm sure it needs not just probably one discussion, it may need a book or something, because these are the lifeline project,
Yeah, and
right?
it's work in progress. मैंने शुरू किया है अभी भी, like I won't say I have kind of reached there. I've just changed my stance from planning to people, but obviously it's going to come. It's going to happen in the future.
Okay, so what's your closing remark for the last design your inner hero? How our audience can design their inner hero? Any last
Yeah.
remark
So
before we close?
uh, the so you first of all, मैं सबसे एक ही क्वेश्चन पूछती हूँ। जब आप पैदा हुए थे तो मम्मी पापा के पास कोई ऐसा सर्टिफिकेट तो नहीं था ना, शाई बच्चा पैदा हुआ है, थोड़ा सा ऐसे बच्चा पैदा हुआ, देयर वाज नो सर्टिफिकेट, यू वर born लाइक अ क्लीन स्लेट। तो आपको सबसे पहले ये बिलीव करना है, एक हीरो है, you already have it. Okay, and with that belief you have to discover that hero. Okay, पहले आपको you have to have that belief कि वो है. Then the second step would be to actually decode it, उसको ढूंढो। अगर आप खुद ढूंढ सकते हो इट्स वेरी गुड, नहीं तो यू हैव मिरर्स इन योर लाइफ। मिरर्स आने आपके कमिटेड लिसनर। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आपने बचपन में बोला मुझे डॉक्टर बनना है, आपके माँ ने सुना, आपके टीचर ने सुना, दोज आर योर मिरर्स। और वो आपको नेक्स्ट 5 साल 10 साल तक बोलते रहे, when you didn't want to study they made you study, right? So आपके अंदर जो है, जो सपना है, जो हीरो है, उसका जो कम्युनिकेशन है, कुछ कमिटेड लिसनर्स आप ढूंढो, उसमें कोच भी हो सकता है आपको अगर नहीं दिख रहा है, और उनको आप बता दो, डिक्लेयर कर दो। सो दे विल कीप ऑन टेलिंग यू when you are not up in your game, they'll keep on reminding you that you are the hero, you are the hero when you are down। जब आप खुद डाउट कर रहे हो, they will show you the better side. So second step will be to discover. Third is to design. Now designing में there's a little bit of a technicality, you would need a little skill। आप ऑनलाइन कर सकते हो, किसी एक्सपर्ट के पास जा सकते हो, एंड मार्केट में जो जरूरत है उसके हिसाब से every year do a gap assessment। Okay, and design what you need to keep the hero, uh, give a blockbuster movie every year, a relevant hero, right? Every hero, like we say in terms of cities, top cities jo hote they have reinvented themselves. London has reinvented itself and it stayed in the top. So every city reinvents heroes। if you see in their career they reinvent themselves। सो आपको भी
Yes.
वो डिजाइनिंग करके, रीडिजाइनिंग कर करके, यू हैव टू कीप योर सेल्फ री इन्वेंट एंड कीप योर सेल्फ रेलिवेंट। सो दैट्स इन अ नटशेल इज द मंत्रा दैट यू कैन डू, एंड यू कैन डू इट अलोन। ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको हमेशा यू हैव टू एनरोल फॉर अ कोर्स एंड टू डू इट, बट alone as in like you don't have to pay for it, that's what I mean to say, but you can't do it alone, you need a team। एक ओलंपिक का जब athlete determines to become an Olympic level athlete, would need a coach for fitness, would need a dietitian, would need a all kinds of help, आपको एक team चाहिए होगा। So build in those relationships where you can have those committed people in your life। अपने लाइफ में मिरर्स ढूंढो, ठीक है, एंड देन हीरो तो
बहुत बढ़िया,
विल बी अलाइव।
बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया। दैट्स अ वेरी डिफरेंटली वेरी पावरफुल क्लोजिंग रिमार्क कि कैसे हम वी कैन फर्स्ट आइडेंटिफाई, फर्स्ट बी असर्टेन दैट वी हैव दैट इनर हीरो, that thing exists, and then what is the process of designing. So Debeshi, thanks for your time and sharing all that wisdom, like the first week of the month that we are starting. And definitely, again, belated happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And thank you
I,
so much for, sharing this platform and sharing your audience. And as I said, Vikas, we never know. Hum nahi rahenge. This conversation might, have
yeah,
triggered, somebody who can be a Gandhi, next Nelson Mandela, next Tendulkar. अगर वो हो जाए तो our life, our
the
job is
concern,
done.
yes, our job is done, and this conversation, the purpose of this conversation is
Yes.
successful.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so
Okay.
much. Yeah.
Thanks, audience, for watching the Vikas Jain live show, and definitely look forward for having another amazing speaker like we had Debeshi this time, to share the wisdom with you and help you grow in your life. Keep sharing, keep commenting. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.